we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it.
Hi, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about how to add rows and columns and inner rows so that you start to form the basis of your pages. Every page that you create will always come with your header, your footer, and one row in the middle. But if you want to add another row, you can either right click or you can click on the blue row button, go to add a row above. Every row comes with one empty column. The same thing applies. It's the same logic for every single thing you do in terms of setting up your page. You can right click and add a column, or you could add an inner row, which is particularly useful if you want a lot of columns on a page, or you want to layer rows within a column. So I'm going to right click. I am going to add another column. I'm going to add another column. I'm going to add another column. You can have up to 4 columns in one row. Anything more, and you will need to start making use of your inner rows. So let's just click and add one to show you. The next most important thing to note on rows and columns is your spacing. So let's go back to our row. We'll go to Edit Design. Design is where you handle your colors, whether you're adding images, videos, and importantly, your spacing. The other thing to note with the row is you've got full bleed. Now, we don't recommend use of full bleed unless you want an image to cover the entire background of your row. So let me show you what I mean. At the moment, if I add an image to the background of the row, and we're just going to select absolutely anything here. If I go down to spacing, it's got 40 on the edges. You can see that. And in fact, I've just realized I'm in tablet mode. So another little tidbit, you can switch between your modes up here. Please bear in mind, your desktop is very accurate. Your mobile is also highly accurate. The tablet, however, is not necessarily a true reflection, 100% of what you'll see on your live site. So we'll come back to tablet in a separate session. Right, desktop. I'm going to show you in preview. Actually, I've chosen something with a white, so it's actually going to be quite difficult. I just want to increase the row because I want to show you what's going to happen. So let's increase the row. Let's go back and click on the row background. This is pretty much, it's a very square image rather than it being more like a banner. A banner is normally 1920, so 1920 by around 600 in height. This is definitely not that. So if I look at my spacing, at the moment it's 40 on either side. So it's 40 from the left-hand edge and 40 from the right-hand edge. Even if I made that 0, it's really not going to make that much difference. And I'm going to show you how in a minute. So although we've added an image, I can also add a color. So let's go back to my sunshine yellow. So coming back in here, we have our row. If I go full bleed and I go down to spacing and I go 0, 0, this dog's image will have gone across the entire row. Now I'm just going to choose a different image. That one's got a lot of blue. There we go. So can you see how with the full bleed row, the image is actually going all the way to the edges? Let's just center it so you can see better. It's going all the way to the edges. If I was to remove the full bleed, go down to my spacing and put my rows back on, let's just see what's happening here. We've added an image to the background of our row, and you can see now that they have spacing between them. So within your columns, and I think to make this easier, we're just going to get rid of this row. All right, now we're going to look at how we add another row. So as I said, you always come with a default row. So let's have a look at that. Let's add a row above. Every row has a column. You can have up to 4 columns, and to add another column, you simply right click and go add column. You can also change the backgrounds of your rows. So if, for example, I decided I wanted to have, let's have a look. So we've got 40. Background color at the moment is see-through. We're going to make it yellow, so it's very obvious. You will still be able to see your columns. So within rows and columns, just to click back on here again, you have the option to change the background color to add an image or to add a video. And that's important. You'll see it's the same on here. If I go Edit Design, right-clicking, super important tip, brings everything up. Again, in the column, you've got color, image, and video choices. So we're going to say, well, we're going to add an image in the background of this column. So we'll do that. There's my little dog. But as you can see, he's not looking too great because he's totally chopped off. And that's because of the height of the column. It auto adjusts to the other columns. All right. So let's, for example, say now we wanted to add some text. Let's go and grab the text widget over here. This is your real sort of playpen, if you like. So clicking on the widgets is going to give you access to all the Shazamme widgets, the ones that we've built in-house, as well as the others such as text and image and button, which come as standard with every website. So we're going to take our text image and drag it across. But before I do, I did want to say, if you're ever looking for something that's not in your frequently used tray, for example, we want to add an icon. Let's type in the word icon. Here it is. And let's drag it and drop it. You can choose to upload an SVG file, or you can choose to just use one of the icons that we have on offer in our library. You can link your icon, which is really useful. So if you wanted to link it externally to something else, to a pop-up you've created, act as an anchor. And so as you see, you can go down, even files. So that is really important for you to note. So you can link your icon. All right. The other thing you can do is connect an icon to other data that you have. So I can go connect to data, and I can connect the link to something else. At the moment, I don't have very much set up for this site. So the only thing I could link it to at the moment is a phone number. If I did that, what would happen is that I would click on this and a call to action box would pop up with calling that number. Obviously, it works better on mobile. However, if you've got FaceTime on a desktop, that call will also work. So that's if we wanted to have an icon, but I don't. I want to have some text there. Right-clicking the little crosses will delete what you've done. Let's drag a text widget on. You can now decide how you want this to look. If it's standard paragraph, leave it as paragraph up here. If not, and you say want that to be a heading 2, I'm going to make that a heading 2. Remember what I said. Your fonts and your font sizes and weights are all predetermined by what you've put into your theme up here. You can manually override it. So for example, if I decided I want this to be this pale cream, I can override it. Always tick the little box to confirm your change, and I've overridden it. If you wanted to go back to a default, you just need to go back and click heading 2 again, and it goes back to your default. You can also link it to something. For example, I might want to link this to the story page. You can also connect it to data. Connection to data is really important. If, for example, I wanted to pull through the location, you'll see once you've got your website set up, and you already have, that there will be a list of items that you could link this text to, and that is really useful. You can also choose your alignment, look at your line height, which should already be predetermined in your global theme, add numbers or add bullets. And there's a choice of bullets, as you can see. All right. So that's how you add text. That's how you add an image to the background. What I did want to show you, and it is important, is because of the fact that we've added an image to the background, the only way that you're going to get that image to show is to hit return, or if you've got more writing going in here, more text, you're going to be okay. The other way that you can do it, and let's just right click on here and go back in, is to delete it from actually being in the column. Go to widgets on your left-hand side and use an image widget. I'm more of a fan of using the image widget. I feel like it gives me a little bit more flexibility, but that is totally up to you. So you can see now how it's filled that space. Again, you can link images. Alt text, super important. That is good for your SEO. And you can go into design on an image and you can choose how you want it to be. Full width, do you want it to go less? Do you want it to go more? Would you like it to have a radius? Radius is the corners of your images, as you can see here. Here we go. You can add a shadow to your image. And when you do add a shadow to your image, it's going to give you the option of where you want that shadow to sit. So you can click on this little arrow here. I'm going to say that it goes down there, and I'm going to say that I actually want my shadow to be the cream. So you can just see it there. If I did a darker color, you can see it a little bit more obviously. You can choose a hover effect if you wanted to. If I did tick on forward, you can see how it moves. You can choose grayscale. It changes the dog to grayscale. There's a heap of things that you can do. You can also control your spacing. Always remember your spacing. It's really, really useful. Different styles of layouts for your images. So that is how we add rows. That is how we create up to 4 columns, or using inner rows, as many columns as you want. Obviously too many, it just looks silly. This is how you add your text widgets, It's how you add an image widget. It's how you add an icon widget. I've shown you how you can link it to pages, to phone numbers. You can data connect it to things like, for example, a consultant name coming through from the back end. So there are a heap of different options. Do have a play with it. Just to recap, we've done the rows and the columns, etc. We've also looked at our global theme for buttons, fonts, colors, etc. that will run throughout your site and means that you don't have to manually do everything all the time. I'll see you in the next session. And don't forget, you can always contact support. The easiest way to do this is by jumping on chat, which can be found via the emoji in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. I've removed mine, but you should see yours there. It's available on shazamme.com, go or web. So best scenario, hop onto live chat. Alternatively, email support@shazamme.com if your question is not urgent. Thank you so much.
Like we do it, like we do it. 'Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. 'Cause no